first thing I think when I think of the NFL cheerleaders are the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. The second thing I think of are the itty-bitty uniforms. However, if you can get past the itty-bitty uniforms, the looks, and the hair flips, you'll see that these ladies can really dance, and that most of them are technically trained. Using sources and different articles from the New York Times, Vogue magazine, and local news stations from around Dallas, I will explain today that the NFL cheerleaders work hard, and that if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that NFL cheerleaders are mistreated and underpaid for the work that they do. In recent years, some cheerleaders have even sued for wage theft and gender discrimination. Let's start with gender discrimination. On the job, NFL cheerleaders often face harassment from fans, according to the New York Times. NFL cheerleaders are sent out on several appearances, including tailgates, parties, pre-game parties, post-game parties, and anything having to do with involving fans. However, tailgates can call in sexual harassment. As a cheerleader, I recognize that as a cheerleader, you're always going to have to deal with uncomfortable fans. In any profession, you're going to have to deal with people who make you uncomfortable. Especially when you're an NFL cheerleader, your uniform is itty-bitty and there's alcohol involved. The problem is not just that, however. The deeper problem lies in how the NFL cheerleaders are taught to handle it. They're taught to be polite and not to call security. A former Dallas Cowboys cheerleader says, quote, "We were taught if someone's getting handsy with you how to navigate that. We were not taught to say, that's not very nice. We were taught to be sweet, not rude. Say, can I ask you to step over here? Use body language to help deter the situation. Never be mean. Never. Always courteous. Because if it's not for the fans, we wouldn't be here." That's how they were supposed to view the situation. This is not only a dismal example of This is just one dismal example of how many cheerleaders have been sexually harassed and have been taught to handle the situation, quote-unquote, politely. Cheerleaders should be able to call security, to be able to firmly say, "Sir, can you please step back?" And if they object, they'll get dismissed from the team. Not fired, but dismissed. Cheerleaders are also often afraid to report harassment. And the handbook guidelines referring what to do when you're sexually harassed are often very vague, if even existent at all. Some cheerleaders are even taught to sign non-disclosure agreements about what happens at a football game or at tailgate parties. Cheerleaders have also been sent on strange appearances. One cheerleader who, like the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, is choosing to remain anonymous, said that cheerleaders have been sent to people's houses before. Cheerleaders are also discriminated against. If sexual harassment isn't enough, cheerleaders are also discriminated against on the basis of their sex. Bailey Davis, a former Sensations cheerleader, posted on her private Instagram, not public, of her in a lace one-piece black bodysuit. However, the Sensations cheerleader handbook prohibits nude, semi-nude, or pictures of girls in lingerie. Again, this was in her private Instagram. However, cheerleaders are allowed to wear itty-bitty uniforms on the field and do a calendar shoot. So, if the NFL can profit from it, then the cheerleaders are sexualized and put in itty-bitty uniforms. But if they want to feel good in their own body, then that is a no-go. The policy, furthermore, does not apply to Saints players. Although you may not see many Saints players sporting lingerie, you may see nude or semi-nude photos. There's also no social interaction with the players. Quote, if a Saints cheerleader enters a restaurant and a player is already there, she must leave. If a cheerleader is in a restaurant and a player arrives afterward, she must leave. Basically, the cheerleaders have to leave either way. There's no room for the players to get there after. The players don't have to leave because they're the players and are more valuable to the team. The NFL has said that it values all its employees and wants to protect all its employees, and that it does value the cheerleaders, but the NFL does not put their money where their mouth is. Some cheerleaders can't even follow the players on Instagram and many players use pseudonyms. Other teams ban their cheerleaders from wearing sweatpants. A Raiderette's handbook fines $10 for pom-poms, $10 for unpolished boots, and will dock you a whole day's pay if you forget a part of your uniform. Yet the Raiders were dragging their feet, and they didn't punish a player who was caught on video punching his fiancée in her face. The sexism is astounding, and the players don't have the same rules. Why? Because they're more valuable to the organization. Some cheerleaders have even gotten in trouble for being too opinionated or chewing gum, and a lean figure is required for the uniform. You would think that if a lean figure and a certain look is required, that the NFL would sponsor that and pay for it. But no, NFL cheerleaders are often underpaid. The team profits from their hard work. They're required to keep their body in shape and look a certain way, which can get expensive. Between gym memberships and salon visits, that's a pretty high budget. Erica Wilkins, a former Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, said that on average a year she made about $14,488, whereas their male mascot Rowdy made about a $65,000 salary annually. Cheerleaders also don't get paid for appearances. She said that one day it turned out to be over a 9-hour day, and she got a flat rate of $100. Now, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders have settled with Wilkins, and the cheerleaders get $400 a game and $12 a practice. But the Cowboys are worth $5 billion, and you would think that if they can pay their players, they could pay their cheerleaders fairly too. On several other squads, this is also an ongoing issue. Cheerleaders are not paid fairly, and they are not paid for the total of appearances and the work that they do. But why do the cheerleaders not speak out, you say? Why aren't more speaking out? In recent years, more and more cheerleaders have spoken out, and lots of women have commented on the sexism. But the cheerleaders love to dance, and overall the rush that you get from a game can be really exciting. And this is why more cheerleaders don't necessarily speak out right away. However, the cheerleaders are starting to do their part, and that means we as fans should do ours, demanding that cheerleaders be paid fairly, and maybe even boycotting NFL games, whether that be live or on TV, until the NFL can put its money where its mouth is and treat all its employees with equality and respect.